Welcome everyone to Whitman Partners 40 Fast and Future Leaders of Surgical Services for 2022. Today we are talking with Brittney Williams, who is the Director of Surgical Services at White Rock Medical Center in Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Brittney.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really think 2023 for surgical services, especially, the biggest tension point is just going to be the nurses are tired, and all nurses are tired right now. But I think somewhere during COVID, the surgery and pre-op and PACU nurses kind of got lost in the shuffle. We were doing everything we could to try and help out every area of the hospital. And there was such a big focus on intensive care that we were still doing the same amount of cases. And a lot of times we were doing it with less staff. And so we, continued on and tried to provide the same high quality care that we could at the same volume of patients, but with less staff. And so now you've got this whole group of nurses, they're just tired. They did it every day and they did it with a smile on their face for 2 solid years. And so now they're adjusting back to a little bit of normalcy in our world. And I think as leaders, the biggest challenge is trying to keep them motivated and engaged after, the last couple of years. And then for me, being at an acute care hospital, challenge for not just 2023, but every year, throughput is always a challenge. And especially with the way the volumes are right now, just being able to get patients in and out it's an ongoing issue for us. So I've been really, really lucky in the area that I'm at. During COVID, I actually changed facilities and was able to leave on good terms from my previous facility. And I had some staff that were interested in picking up some extra hours and things like that. So because I had a good relationship with the prior facility, I was able to hire them on PRN here and maintain that relationship with the new director. And we communicate weekly to see his needs and my needs. And we're able to kind of create almost a float pool between the two of us. And it's been really, really helpful because during his peak, the staff will be with him. And on my busy days, the staff come over and I've got a couple of PRN people that I can pull from to kind of help on my busy days. And then, of course, I would say I always, always, always prefer cross training. So if I have a nurse that can do, OR and PACU, or a CST that's gone back to become a nurse, and that way I can utilize the staff in multiple areas, that for me is always best practice for staffing.
So what is PRN?
Just part-time, like as
Part-time.
needed. Yeah.
Okay.
So it kind of helps too because it's not taking up an FTE for us on like our labor management. So it's not a full-time employee that you're paying benefits to, but you still have the ability to pull them in on those busy days and kind of offset some of those really, really, high volume days.
So that's awesome. So basically at the previous facility, the leader there and you are kind of, those people can go back and forth. That's great.
Mm-hmm. And since you mentioned the, leaders there and here, I think probably the third thing, we're really not in a climate where managers and directors are able to just sit behind a desk, So always, if it's staffing shortages here at the hospital and at my previous facility, we jump in. You jump in, you do what you can, you make sure that the patients are taken care of, and the staff really seem to respond to that too. I mean, I think it already is a major job requirement. I think, if you're a director and you're not paying attention to like your ROI for your supplies, implants, equipment, you're really doing a disservice to your team and to your company. Doctors love to come in and tell directors like, I need this, I need that. And they always want shiny new toys. But we have to take a step back and look at what does that do to my budget? How long is it going to take for me to get my return on investment for this toy? Like, how many cases am I going to have to take? And does it really increase the quality of care or increase our efficiency here in the OR? So I think it already is, and I think more and more companies are starting to see that and are starting to put a focus on the financial side of things, and I think that they have more emphasis on that. I think directors, we should ask a couple of things, every time. before we go to administration, run up there and say, I need this, I need this, I need this, we need to know, is it going to be beneficial? Is it going to increase quality of care or efficiency of care? And, how long is it going to take for me to recoup that if it's a capital expenditure or a monthly recurring thing? I think another thing that directors should probably keep an eye on is like our payer mix for the facility. When we're looking at how long it's going to take for us to recoup our money for equipment that we purchase, what does that look like at your specific facility? Do you have a high volume of Medicare patients, or do you have a higher volume of commercial patients? Because, for each one, your reimbursement is going to be completely different. So we just want to make sure when we're doing cases that we are actually going to make some money off of it. We have a CFO, and she is famous for saying, if there's no margin, there's no mission. And I think that kind of rings true for all of us, because at the end of the day, if we don't make money, we can't continue to take care of patients, which is what we all want to do. Being a director, the number one growing pain that I experience and the number one issue that I see, either when I'm promoted at a facility or when I come into a new facility, is that mindset of the staff of, we never did it that way. And so I think like that is probably one of the hardest hurdles for anybody to overcome, new staff, director, whoever. But that core group of staff that have been there forever, it's like, nope, that's not the way we've always done it. And I think the best thing for us to do, and the only real like action items, is just build that trust. Build the trust with the staff and let them get to a point to where if you say, hey, can we try this? They're willing to listen and willing to try it, and be open and transparent with them and say, I'm not perfect. I've got ideas, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, but let's at least give it a try. And I think once we build that trust with the staff, they're more open to do that. But I do think that's probably not just a growing pain for directors. I think it's sometimes detrimental to hospitals, that mindset of, that's not the way we do it, or we've never done it that way in the past. I think at all facilities, when you come in as a leader, I think because you have a title, people expect you to just know, and so I think every system has their own way of doing things, and you may know how to, run a board and run an OR and kind of rally the troops and take care of people and create a good culture. But it's those little quirky things that you need to know more of, and I think a lot of times we probably get, 30% of the information that we need in any position that you're in, whether you're a director or a staff nurse, whatever. We do our best to try and, orient people and train them. And sometimes it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much information coming at you at once that, I may retain 30% of what's being thrown at me. And I always feel like it's hard to give 100% of myself when I've got 30% of what I actually need. So I think that initial onboarding is great, but I think there probably needs to be like an ongoing kind of training. It's like, okay, what else do you need? Okay, what about this? What about that? So maybe a little director's playbook or something would be nice, like
Yeah,
directors
that's
for
a great
dummies.
idea. That's a great idea, because when you come into a position, you learn that kind of foundational level, and then like as you grow and grow and grow, it's like you need to, like, your knowledge expands
Mhm.
and new things come up, and there may be, this situation that comes up, a new person coming in, they'll be able to expect that.
I think that as directors, of course, first and foremost, our mind always goes to supplies. Especially in an OR, it's like, don't open everything on your back table. Don't open, staplers or implants or anything until you are absolutely sure that you need them. And so I think that's kind of a given. Everybody, that's the first thing everybody thinks is, are we losing money on supplies? And should we standardize our packs? And so I think that is one thing that a lot of us think. But I think also staffing is probably on that list somewhere too, especially once you're fully staffed. And it kind of goes back to earlier when we talked about cross training. If I've got a busy day and it looks like in the morning I need an extra scrub tech, but then in the afternoon I need an extra nurse, then if I have someone who's cross-trained and able to fill in that role where she can be a scrub tech in the morning and then pick up in the afternoon as a nurse, then it's gonna save a huge amount of money because it eliminates a whole, person to my schedule that day. First and foremost, I think as directors, we just have to respect the difference between the generations and just really embrace diversity in the workplace as a really positive thing. And then I think just figuring out the communication style and figuring out the best way to get through to each generation kind of helps. I think about some of the like baby boomers or that generation. When I have a conversation with them, they wanna talk face to face, and they wanna know the story behind what I'm asking, and they wanna know every piece of the puzzle and what led us to where we are, and they wanna hear it from me directly. Um, but on the flip side, that Gen X, Gen Y generation that grew up on a smartphone, like, put it in an email, bullet point it, and let's be done. They're just straightforward to the point, like, I oh, we're changing something? Okay, I don't need to know how we got there, just let me tell me what you need, and that's what I'll do. Um, and then I think the other thing that's really, really important is making sure that that younger generation feels valued and feels like they have a voice. They kinda goes back to that's not the way we've ever done it, but there may be a better way, and these younger people with new ideas, and they're used to the technology, and they're used to some of the things that the older generations aren't used to. They may have a really, really great idea for efficiency or time save, that will really, really help us as a department and as a facility, but they have to feel empowered to speak up and to be able to say, hey, what if we try this?
Perfect. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. You did great.